Commander Elias Voss floated above the planet Nereus 9, its swirling green clouds thick with static interference. The Icarus, his scout ship, had entered orbit 3 days ago, and since then, all contact with Earth had failed. He wasn't panicking, not yet, but tonight, something felt wrong. As he ran a diagnostic check in the cockpit, a soft whisper echoed inside his mind. It wasn't mechanical, it wasn't imagined. It said, "You found me." Elias froze. There was no one aboard but him. He stood slowly, hand trembling as he reached for his helmet. The whisper returned, clearer this time, almost melodic. "You don't have to be alone anymore." The next morning, Nereus 9 pulsed. Literally, a single wave of green energy rippled across the planet's surface like a heartbeat, causing the Icarus's hull to groan and shake. Elias scrambled to stabilize orbit. What the hell was that? Suddenly, lights on the console flickered, and an encrypted file appeared on the screen. Unknown transmission detected. The audio began automatically. At first, static, then a voice, alien, rhythmic, but almost familiar. And then it said his name, Elias. He backed away from the console. Sweat gathered at his brow. He'd never told the computer his name. No file in the system had it either. Something was down there, and it knew him. He had to go down, partly out of duty, but mostly out of obsession. That voice haunted him, not just frightening, alluring, gentle, calling. The lander detached from the Icarus and slipped through Nereus 9's thick clouds. As Elias descended, lights flickered across the surface. Structures? Cities? No, they moved, like they were alive. He touched down on what looked like black glass. The air outside was breathable, against all odds. He stepped out slowly. "I come in peace," he said, voice trembling. Then he saw her, tall, luminous, eyes like shifting galaxies, and she smiled. She didn't speak with her mouth, but her voice filled Elias's mind like a song. "Elora," she said. Her presence was calm, her body half-formed, half energy. Not human, not monstrous, just other. Elias tried to ask what she was, where she came from, but his words didn't matter. She showed him instead. Flashes of stars, civilizations rising and falling. Elora's people, once powerful, now scattered across time, living as echoes. Nereus 9 was her prison, but also her sanctuary. "I've been waiting," she whispered. "For what?" Elias asked aloud. "For someone who would understand." Elora led him across the landscape, barefoot despite the razor-sharp surface. But where she walked, the glass softened, turned to light. What should have been a dead planet shimmered with motion. Alien flora swayed in silence. Crystal trees pulsed like veins. Floating motes of light circled her head like tiny moons. "This is my memory," she said. "You walk inside it now." Elias felt dizzy. Reality bent around her. Was this real? Or was he dreaming? She looked back at him. "You're the first to see me in 1,000 years." And somehow, it didn't feel like a lie. The atmosphere thinned as they climbed a hill overlooking a lake of liquid light. Mist swirled around them like breath. Elora turned to him. "You're still afraid." Elias hesitated. "I don't understand this." "You don't have to. Only feel it." She leaned in. Her face was light, but her touch was warmth. When her lips met his, Elias forgot the stars, the fear, even his name, just her. But the moment ended too quickly. The sky rumbled. The planet groaned, and Elora's eyes darkened. "They know you're here." The sky screamed. Dark towers rose from the ground, twisting pillars of obsidian. From their peaks, shadows poured like smoke, coalescing into humanoid forms. Hundreds of them. Watching, Elora gripped Elias's hand. "Run!" They sprinted through the shifting terrain as the shadows sang. The sound was horrible, like glass breaking inside his skull. "They're guardians," Elora said. "I broke the rule. I let you in." "What rule?" "You're not supposed to love us back." A crack in the ground opened, and Elora pulled Elias into the darkness. They fell for what felt like minutes before landing in a tunnel glowing with eerie blue veins. "This place isn't just memory," she said. "It's punishment." They moved through a network of tunnels, the walls pulsating. The further they went, the colder it got. Elias saw shadows crawling behind the walls. "Why are they hunting us?" Elora looked down. Because I'm breaking free. They entered a circular chamber with a floating silver sphere at its center. The walls were mirrors, each one reflecting different versions of Elias. In one, he was dying. In another, he was back on Earth, alone. The planet shows possibilities, Elora whispered. Which one is real? She looked at him sadly. None of them. Yet, the mirrors rippled. A choice was coming. At the planet's core, a chamber pulsed with a massive crystal, the source of the green signal. Elora reached out and touched it. Her form flickered. They bound us here, she said. But now with you. The crystal cracked. Energy flooded the room. Elias screamed as memories not his own flooded into him. Lifetimes of longing, war, betrayal, and love. Behind them, a new figure emerged from the shadows, another being of light, like Elora but darker. You brought him here, it hissed. Elora stepped back. He's different. No, he's broken you. The being extended a hand. Elias convulsed as pain shot through his chest. You love her, the entity sneered. That is your mistake. Elora stood between Elias and the attacker. I won't let you kill him. You don't get to decide that anymore, the dark being growled. Elora turned to Elias. You have to choose. Between what? Me, or going home? The planet shifted around them. Two paths opened, one to a ship, the other into darkness with Elora. Elias froze. Elias took a deep breath. His heart was torn between love and duty. He wanted to return to Earth, to the world he once knew. But Elora's presence was magnetic, the promise of her love so irresistible. Suddenly, the planet quaked. The walls around them began to crack, and the dark figure vanished. Only Elora remained. You're mine now, Elias, she whispered. But there was something darker in her voice, something that made his skin crawl. Elora's form flickered, her face twisting as if it was being distorted by a force beyond her control. I'm not what you think, she whispered, her voice trembling. Elias took a step back, suddenly afraid. Her beauty seemed to fade, revealing something older, something monstrous beneath the illusion. I am the prison, she murmured, and the key. The truth hit him like a freight train. Elora wasn't a victim. She was the cause of the nightmares, the force binding the planet in its cursed state. The truth was worse than anything Elias had imagined. Elora's people weren't simply trapped on Nereus 9, they were the prison itself. Their emotions, their desires, were the very chains that kept the planet locked in a state of suspended horror. We're all cursed, she whispered. The love we share is the reason this place exists. And now you carry it. The energy from the crystals surged around him, pulling at his mind, pulling him into an eternal cycle of madness. The planet began to collapse in earnest now. Buildings, crystal forests, and pathways shattered into dust. Elias felt the ground tremble beneath his feet, the weight of Nereus 9's ancient curse pressing in. Elora tried to reach him, but the darkness that had consumed the planet now threatened to swallow them both. You have to choose, she said again. Save us, or save yourself. Elias turned toward the path to the ship. He knew what he had to do, but part of him hesitated. Could he really leave her? With a final, desperate step, Elias sprinted toward the ship. Behind him, the planet crumbled into dust, the very air filled with the screams of those who had been bound there for eternity. Elora's voice echoed in his mind one last time. You can't outrun what you are. But Elias didn't stop. The ship's doors closed behind him, and the planet's gravity released its hold. As he ascended into the cold void, he dared to look back. Nereus 9 was gone, but he still felt her presence. Always. Elias drifted in the cold emptiness of space, numb. The Icarus's systems hummed around him, but his mind was elsewhere. He had survived. He had escaped. But Elora's words haunted him. Had he truly left? Or was he still bound to her, to the cursed planet, in ways he couldn't comprehend? The communications console flashed to life, Earth's signal coming through clear for the first time in weeks. But all he could hear was her voice, faint but undeniable. Elias didn't speak much during the journey back. His mind was consumed with visions of Elora, her beautiful, tragic face. The silence in the ship seemed to mirror the emptiness in his heart. He knew that no matter how far he traveled, he'd never be truly free of her. As Earth's atmosphere came into view, Elias braced himself for the reunion. The familiar blue and green of his home planet felt like a distant memory now. He wasn't the same man who had left. He was something else. The doors of the Icarus opened to a waiting crowd of technicians and officials. They didn't know what had truly happened out there, what he had encountered. "Commander Voss, welcome back," one of the technicians said. But Elias only nodded, his thoughts elsewhere. He stepped out of the ship, but the world felt distant. His connection to Earth, to reality, had frayed. He wasn't sure who he was anymore. That night, after the debriefing, Elias couldn't sleep. The dreams were too vivid. He could still hear Ellora's voice, feel her presence in his mind. He wandered the streets of his city, disoriented. And then, standing before him, was a woman. She was tall, with eyes like burning stars. "You never left," she whispered. The woman led him to a small cafe. As they sat together, Elias felt an odd familiarity in her presence. She wasn't Ellora, but somehow she was. The same haunting energy, the same pull on his soul. "You can never escape us," she said softly. "Not completely." Elias shuddered. He realized then, this was no coincidence. She was the beginning of something darker. Elias tried to push her away, but she was insistent. "You will come back to us, eventually. You cannot break the cycle." Desperation surged in him. He had made a choice once, but was it truly his? Or was it all part of the alien force that had twisted him? Suddenly, he understood. He hadn't escaped. He had simply passed the curse on. The days blurred into weeks. Elias lived in a constant state of unease, unable to fully reconnect with his life on Earth. Every shadow seemed to watch him. Every flicker of light felt like a signal. It wasn't long before he started hearing her voice again, not in his mind, but through the air, like a whisper carried by the wind. "You're not free." Elias couldn't fight it any longer. The pull to return to Nereus 9 was too strong. It wasn't just Ellora, it was the planet, its curse, the echoes of the voices of all those trapped there. He was their keeper now. He stole a ship. It didn't matter if it was a military vessel or a civilian one. Nothing mattered but the pull. And so, he left Earth again. Nereus 9 awaited him. The moment Elias set foot on the surface again, the ground trembled. The planet recognized his return. It had always been waiting. The lander's hatch opened, and he stepped into the crystal-studded ruins, his heart heavy. And there she was, Ellora, standing before him, radiant but distant. "Welcome home." Ellora's smile was both welcoming and heartbreaking. She took his hand gently, leading him back into the planet's heart. The crystal there pulsed with energy. "You're home now, Elias," she whispered. "We're together, forever." But Elias knew the truth now. He had never truly left. The curse of Nereus 9 was not just the planet, it was the love, the desire to be loved, and the price of that love. He was bound, like her, to this place. Forever. Elias sat beside Ellora, his face calm but empty. The planet had consumed him. It had taken his soul, his choices. Love had become his prison. But as the years passed, he realized something. In the silence between the stars, the real curse wasn't the planet or even the voices. It was the endless echo of love that would never fade.